good evening to our presenter, Jayne, because our presenter, Jayne Simpson, is from Australia. And please, dear participants, bear in mind it's nearly midnight for her. It's 11 o'clock in Brisbane. For us in Europe, in Central Europe, it's lunchtime. So everybody, hello. And as I said before, we have our presenter from Australia, from Brisbane today. Her name is Jayne Simpson, and she is a very, very experienced therapist. Of course, one of the outstanding features is that she is a certified auditory-verbal therapist. And she spent some time abroad, and she was the last few years, I think it was 3 years, she was in Austria, in Innsbruck, and she very, very recently relocated to Australia. So she's also in our focus group. And when I say focus group, what I mean is we created a group of experts, of lady experts, therapists with a lot of experience, and they developed a syllabus, which means a whole series of webinars we will have in the course of this year. So every month we will have one session, and we will let you know in time, ahead of time, who will present when. And we hope that many of these topics and these excellent speakers will be of interest for you, and we will see an increasing audience from different countries. So, Jayne, we are very, very thankful that after the very short time you are now back in your home country in Australia, you are willing, you are ready to present tonight, because it's nearly midnight for you. So the floor is yours, Jayne.
Thank you so much. And the next slide, please. I'm really looking forward to some interaction today, but we will get into the presentation soon. Firstly, I'd like to invite Sue Archbold to tell us a little bit about the special day it is today.
Thank you, Jayne. Is my microphone working well?
Yes.
I hope.
Yes.
Well, thank you. Well, welcome everybody, and thank you, Nicole, for the thumbs up. Today is International Cochlear Implant Day, and you may be interested to know that IETHI, the Spanish organization, and the European Cochlear Implant Users Association, they began International Cochlear Implant Day in 2009. And that was to commemorate the first cochlear implant on February the 25th, 1957 in France. And since 2009, this day has been celebrated all over the world, and increasingly so, raising awareness about the life-changing impact of cochlear implants for individuals with severe to profound hearing loss. So I'm delighted that the first PORA webinar in this new development that's driven by Monica Lenhart and the Lenhart Foundation, and we know that Monica has been at the forefront of developments in cochlear implants for many years. I'm delighted that this first webinar is being held on this special day. And thanks to Jayne and to Barbara for their coordination role in leading us in this new development. And I hand back to Jayne and look forward to hearing what you've got to say. Thank you, Jayne, especially for being so good at this time of the day.
Thank you very much. I just wanted to say what a wonderful coincidence, because when you say today is the Cochlear Implant Day, and since 2009, you know when we started, Per?
No.
Exactly in the year 2009.
Yes. Wonderful.
Coincidence, it's just that we now have a new orientation. So thank you very much, Sue. And yes, the word is back to Jayne.
Yes, thank you, Sue. And we have a lot to celebrate. So also coming up very soon, which I think is next week, remember we have World Hearing Day. And the theme this year is From Communities to Classrooms, Hearing Care for All Children. So they want to focus on preventing avoidable childhood hearing loss and ensuring early identification and then ongoing care for children with ear or hearing problems. So they're really keen for us all to share as much as possible in our communities that World Hearing Day is upon us, and you can go onto the World Health Organization website and find some beautiful posters to share amongst your communities and on your Facebook and so on. So we really want to keep people being aware of the need to have babies' hearing checked and children's hearing checked ongoing, and just to be aware that it's not something that may just appear at birth, that it could be something that develops, and that for them to be successful participants in their local school, we need to get their hearing loss and their ear care managed well before they start school. So please pass that message on as well. The next slide, please. And because it is World International Cochlear Implant Day, I also wanted to share that very recently, a group of incredible professionals, including the three that you see on the screen, were celebrated and were awarded the 2026 Queen Elizabeth Prize for Engineering for the design and development of modern neural interfaces that restore human function. So in this photograph, you can see the man with the blue tie is an Australian, Professor Graham Clark. And then you see two Austrians there, Dr. Ingeborg Hochmeier and her husband, Professor Erwin Hochmeier. And I included them in the photograph because I have a connection with Australia and with Austria. And I am so thrilled that these three, as well as the other four, were recognized for this incredible invention, which has changed the lives of so many people around the world, young and old, and also changed my career. I've always been an educator of children who are deaf, and when I started work a long time ago, 40 years ago, the children had to wear box hearing aids with long cords on them and big plugs in their ears. And they really couldn't hear very much at all, particularly if they had a profound hearing loss. They had to learn to speak by touch and by lip reading. And usually they really needed to have sign language to understand in general. So I am thrilled this was invented in my time, and that that they're doing they're still creating new kinds of cochlear implants, and the shape is changing and they're becoming more attractive and lighter, and I'm really excited to see what happens next. So we have to thank them hugely, because without them we probably wouldn't be here today. And Sue, you said you've got a photograph of working with children with the old box hearing aids. So yes, we've been around. Next slide, please.
And just to add, Graham Clark very recently celebrated his 90th birthday. So he's 90 years old.
Yes. Yes, they're geniuses, aren't they? So, and I just wanted to start off. I saw we have a few parents here. We've got someone with a 3-year-old, a 6-year-old, and a 9-year-old. And I'm not sure if we've had any others join since the beginning. But I just wanted to know what you as parents and what you as professionals who work with children think about play. Why do you think play is important? Or is it? So you can either put something in the chat, or you could turn your camera on and just say a few words about that. Because I'm asking you because I have been asked in the past by parents in my therapy sessions. Why are we just playing? Why, what are we doing here? It just looks like play. And you know, I'm very busy and I could probably play at home. So yes, Monica, it's a natural approach to learning. Children love it. It's much more fun for the kids. Yes, Rank. And any other ideas? If you think play is important and why? Yes, it is what I hope, Sue, it's what parents and families do together.
Yeah, let's hope so, because not only look at stare at the mobile phone.
Yes. And some of it's written in another language, so I may need a translation. Someone says, yes, Andra says play is the primary way of communicating with children, for children. Yes, absolutely. And yay, Nicole, it's how children learn about our world and develop their brains. It's all about the brain. Thank you. And you can keep the comments coming through. And please, if you want to put your camera on and say something, we welcome that as well. So yes, play is a cornerstone of early childhood education. It's great for fostering holistic development because it allows children to explore and experiment and make sense of their world through natural and engaging activity. Like you said, it's fun for them. Play drives essential cognitive, social, emotional, and physical growth, and it builds skills like problem solving, creativity, resilience, and language while preparing the children for lifelong learning. Some key aspects of play are cognitive development, social and emotional growth, physical development, creativity and imagination, and confidence and independence. And there are various types of play, including structured play, unstructured play, and social play. And we've got a comment there that play from Floaria. Play develops imagination, relationships with others, and expands vocabulary. That is exactly why it's so important.
I would like to know, is Florero from Romania? Maybe you can say Florero. Okay, yeah, continue, Jayne.
Floraria, tell me again.
I was asking where she's from. I think she's from Romania, but I'm not sure.
Okay, yes. We'd like to know if you didn't already write in the comments where you are joining us from today.
Okay.
Yes, from Romania. Welcome.
Good guess.
We're very international. Now, if we can incorporate play-based learning into our daily work activities with children, we're ensuring that the children's education is enjoyable and meaningful, and we're also fostering in them a lifelong passion for learning. Early years in education are about play for all these reasons, Sue. Yes, that's right. And you're right that children who are deaf or hard of hearing have absolutely the same needs for play as children who hear within typical limits. And we need to make sure that we're making it fun and playful and not just drilling and testing all of the time. And welcome, Philippa from Portugal. So we'll take a deeper dive into some of these concepts. Next slide, please.
Sorry. Voilà.
That's okay. It's okay. This is good teamwork. So again, another question for everybody out there. We're going to think about emotions now. What kinds of emotions do children feel? Are they just happy, sad, and angry? Anything else? You can use emojis too if you want to. Frustrated, surprised. Great. Anything else? Surprised. Yes. Insecure. Good word. Think about even young children. Skeptical. Yes. Fantastic. Yes, so much more, and excited, so much more than just happy, sad, or angry. So when we are playing with children, they could be nervous too. Actually, children feel all of the same emotions that we feel, but because they're so small, they don't have the labels for them. They can't put a name to their feelings. So sometimes we see a behavior in a child because they can't express something. They can't say, I'm nervous, or I'm excited, or I'm so frustrated right now. And I think that it's really important for us in our play with children to make sure we're using this delicious language as well. We're not just using those basic words like happy, sad, and mad. Use some of these beautiful, tasty words like surprised. I'm thrilled if I'm happy. I'm ecstatic. So really think about stretching and filling out the vocabulary, as somebody said before, when you're playing. So think about those labels and how you can expand the child's language during play. Maybe with emotional development, you can set up a play situation at home which helps a child deal with something that is frustrating them or making them nervous. For example, if they're going to the dentist, you may want to set up a little play scenario with some dolls where you pretend that you're going into the dentist and sitting in the chair and so on. Maybe a role play could help with that. And so, yes, in play, we can be much more relaxed. And you're right, communication is easier if we're feeling no stress. And yes, the children can take turns. Absolutely, incredibly important. Next slide, please. Thank you. Someone did a drawing. Lovely
Yeah, I
drawing.
don't know how to do
Like,
it.
that's okay. Yes, that happens. So just one more thing about emotions. We just really want to understand, and we probably know if we're already a parent, that emotions are being expressed right from when the baby comes into our lives. So we don't need to wait until a child can already talk, until we start saying things about their emotions and feelings and so on. We need to be feeding in that language from when they're very young and talking about how we imagine they're feeling at the time. So physical development. What kinds of things come to mind when you think of physical development with children? And play. What kinds of play activities would help with physical development? Yes, that can build their gross motor, their muscles, and get them stronger. And the more they play, the more energetic they could become. Sometimes it could be aggressive, it could be assertive, but sometimes a little bit of rough play helps children deal with some emotional things they've got going on. Play-Doh is great for the fine motor skills. Yes. And I'm loving that you're not already just saying something like drawing pictures. You're thinking about physical play. It's very important. What other sorts of playful activities? Dressing dolls is great, doing up the buttons and the zips. And you've got the language then of putting your arm in the sleeve and pulling the sweater up over your head. And pop, there it is. Yes, role playing and dress ups are really fun, and they use those gross motor skills. We've got Nicole, you've got some fond memories of threading macaroni into necklaces with little fingers. Yes, that is a fabulous fine motor activity. And yes, it probably is frustrating for many of us too. Play and making music. Thank you for mentioning music. Music and singing are really important for language development. Absolutely. And they can dance to the music too, of course, can't they? Jumping and skipping. And with a baby, you can rock them to the music and you can bounce them on their knee. And when it says dropping there with babies, I don't mean dropping the baby. I mean holding, giving them something to hold, and then they drop it. And then they hold it again and they drop it. So that's a nice cause and effect game you can play with a baby. So when you're doing these sorts of activities, try to have toys that the child can actually grip. So toys and balls and so on that are manageable for someone with little hands. You can create obstacle courses, and it doesn't have to be outside on a playground. You can do an obstacle course inside, and think of the language with that. You could go under the table and over the chair and through the doorway. So you can link language to any of these activities. And I like your ideas, Barbara, of outdoor play, running and riding a bike and climbing, all incredibly important to building up children's muscles and helping them to self-regulate too, if you can go outside, if the weather is okay for that. Where you are, it's possibly too cold, and where I am, it's possibly too hot. So sometimes the children are not allowed to go outside. Don't forget there's nature, things you can do like stepping stones and climbing trees and playing in the water. That sort of interaction with nature is an important part of play too. Next slide, please. Oops.
Here we go.
That's it. And I think we've talked a little bit about social development already, and somebody mentioned that earlier on in the chat. But play, when there are children together or children with an adult, can model ways to develop their social skills. It can be a fun way for them to learn new vocabulary, because in games there's often a lot of repetition, and in play there's a lot of repetition. So they watch other children, they listen to the language that's being used, and they think, oh, when I hear this word, it means this object. And they get to use verbs. I'm playing with Play-Doh. I'm poking it. I'm squeezing it. I'm rolling it. I'm cutting it. So we need to think about all of that language around the play as well, not just, what's that? It's a car. What's that? It's a doll. What's that? It's a cake. So we want to use adjectives. It's a large green car. It's a racing car. It's a sporty car. That's my favorite. So adjectives, verbs, joining sentences together, thinking at theory of mind. Oh, my favorite car is the red racing car. But what's your favorite? It's not the same. Monica, what's your favorite car?
My favorite car is the one I have, and it's a BMW, and it is Bordeaux red.
Oh, beautiful. And then we, by modeling this sort of interaction in play, we can show children that not everybody has the same feelings and ideas and likes and dislikes, and we're starting to develop their theory of mind around that. We want to do a lot of pretend play and role play, as someone said before, dressing up and pretending to be the doctor or the mum or the police officer, something like that. And moving on as well to games with rules is very important, because children, when they get to school, need to be able to follow instructions and do what they're told and understand simple rules. And there is some research that adventurous outdoor play absolutely reduces anxiety in children. And I know for most of us, if we go for a walk in the forest or a walk along the beach, we do feel our bodies calm down and our anxieties melt away. It's absolutely the same for children. So as Sue said before, we also want to let the child lead the play. Hello, we have someone new joining us.
What about swimming? You didn't see swimming.
Swimming, absolutely. Absolutely.
Can we mute the microphone of the person who joined us? Okay, now it's okay.
Thank you. Yes. So please remember to follow the lead of the child. Take the play where they want it to go, because the play is their learning, is very important for their learning. At other times, the child will have to do what we want them to do, but in play, we can really follow their lead and then sometimes divert it, or sometimes enrich it, or sometimes shape it if it's very repetitive. We can introduce a new object into the play, or we can introduce a new emotion, or we can move the play to another space. But definitely, it's incredibly important to follow the child's lead. Next slide, please. Okay, thinking about cognitive development. And I know there are a lot of words on this slide. I'm sorry for that, but I thought some of you may want to keep a printout of the slides, so this would be a good reference for later. And what do you think of when you think of cognitive development and play? So thinking skills. You can tell us through using your microphone, or you can put it in the chat. I'm just wondering if I can clear off the drawing on there.
Yeah.
There you did it. Somebody did it. Thank you. We're thinking about thinking. What comes to mind with what kinds of games? And there are lots of clues on that slide, actually. While you think about it, I will, yes, being creative. And I'm so pleased that you mentioned that, because oftentimes when children get to school, their capacity for creativity is reduced. And I'll give you an example of that. I was working with a 5-year-old child today who just started school, and I wanted her to tell me a bit about herself. So I had a piece of paper with lots of boxes on it, and I pointed to one box and I said, "In this box, can you draw a picture of you?" And she said, "What do you mean?" And I said, "Well, I'm me and you're you. Can you draw a picture of you?" And she said, "Oh, I know what you mean." And she wrote the letter U, because it sounds the same, U, and letter U. And I thought, already she's only 5 and she's already thinking, oh, I'm at school, I need to write letters and be academic. And I think it was it's sad that already a 5-year-old is worried about the fact that they have to do something academic. and less playful. So we really want to work on that, developing their imagination and their creativity. It's important for brain growth. Yes, Nicole, have puppets put on shows. Yes, and they can act out the different positions and scenarios. And as I get tired, my words start to disappear. So you could think about Piaget's stages of cognitive development. So that means that children of different ages are going to be thinking differently and have different capacity for their types of play. So from when a child is born until they're about 2 years old is that sensory motor stage in Piaget's theory. So in that stage, we want to focus on learning about the world through sensory experiences and motor responses with the children. So one of the fun things they start to develop when they're very young is that object permanence, that when something is covered, it's still there. And they start to enjoy games like peekaboo or peepo. I'm not sure how you say it in your language. We've all got a different one. In English, it's peekaboo. And they get surprised because they're still learning that when they can't see something, it still exists. So we want to follow the child's lead. What are they interested in? We want to do games that focus on their parts of their body, their fingers, and round on their hands, and playing games like peekaboo and hold and drop and hold and drop. And uh-oh, it's all gone, hiding things. They may start to take turns using certain gestures like bye-bye, hello, and that can all be done in a very playful way, turn taking. So body parts and some lovely, colourful books are very important for children up until that age of 2. And then from about age 3 to 7, children move into a new stage of development where pretend play is incredibly exciting for them. So their language skills are starting to grow and improve, and they're starting to think symbolically. So children in this age group really like to play with things that resemble the objects the adults in their lives use. Like they want to pretend to vacuum the floor or have a cup of coffee, or go shopping and have a toy shop and their basket and some pretend money. So this is where they're really starting to make sense of the real world around them, and they're understanding that they have symbols that represent the real world. They might pick up their hairbrush and use it as a microphone, or they might pick up a piece of card and use it as a phone. I was going to put the phone to my ear, but most people don't do that anymore. So these children, ages 3 to 7, are starting to learn how to follow instructions, how to build things and be more complex with toys. Yes, we have someone who'd like to make a comment. I saw a hand up, or maybe not. Maybe not. And there are a couple of comments in the chat too. Is it anything I need to know?
No, it's an explanation how to
Thank you.
one says just hello and the other one says you have to do this on the right side of the screen. So it's just an instruction. It's fine.
Thank you. Thank you. And children aged 3 to 7 around there will start to begin to name colors and shapes and be interested in reading and writing. And they could be doing some counting as well. And I just want to remind you that if a child has quite a limited vocabulary and limited language, that we want them to be learning about power words. So words that can change things around them, like stop and more and all gone and no, rather than words like yellow and pink and 3. Because if a child comes to you and says the word green, it could be anything. But if they come to you and say the word apple, then you can zone in exactly on what they want. So really, those academic words like colors and numbers and shapes, they will come. And they will come when the child starts their formal education, for sure. But right up until that time, be giving them those power words and those functional words around what they're thinking, what they're doing, and what they're looking at, and enriching that with their play. Outdoor play and physical exercise have a positive impact on the hippocampus, actually, and they improve memory, attention span, and working memory capabilities. So when children are improving their motor skills through play, it actually helps their working memory as well. So we want to be focusing on cognitive development activities that boost memory and attention. So, for example, if you're playing pretend shops, you could give the child some instructions like, can you go to the shop and buy a banana, an apple, and a chocolate cake? And the child has to walk over to the counter and remember these 3 things they have to buy. Thank you, Nicole. You put down some resources. That's awesome. Next slide, please. Thank you. And if anyone else also has resources, please do share them. I do have a couple of references at the end for you as well. Now, mathematical thinking. I know I just said that some of that academic language will be taught in school, but play absolutely. Oh, someone's microphone. Can you turn their microphone off? Play develops maths in a fun way. Can you think of some ways that you're developing mathematical thinking? I'm not saying that they have to be counting 1, 2, 3, 4, but what are some other aspects of mathematical thinking that we develop through play? And that picture there could give you some ideas as well. What do they learn about number concepts, about how to classify objects? Yes, I love it, Barbara. More, less, big, small. Absolutely. Those concepts. Those are concepts of size. They also learn concepts of time, before and after. Yes, building. Building gives them that sense of, I need to put a small thing on top and a big thing on the bottom. Otherwise, it will fall over. And how high can I build my tower before it falls over? That's all mathematical thinking and early engineering, isn't it? Dividing and sharing. Absolutely, sharing is so important. There are 2 of us, so we need half. Oh, now there are 3. We need to cut it into thirds. And Nicole, you had to divide up the marbles and playing with beans and splitting your lunch. So you had to cut the sandwich exactly in half because it's not fair if you don't. Sorry about my dog barking. I've got 3 sisters, and my father would buy 2 chocolate bars, and he would say, get us into pairs, and he'd say to one of us, you cut it and then you choose. to the other one. So we learned to cut those chocolate bars exactly in half. It was very, very important. And Barbara's got 3 brothers, so she's perfect at dividing things by 4. Exactly, one divides and the other one chooses. I think your parents were similar to mine, Barbara. And maybe they didn't realize they were teaching us mathematical concepts, but they definitely were. And we learned about fractions and sharing. The children learn about space as well, and time. And time is incredibly important, because when you get to school, your teacher is going to speak in huge instructions with words like before and after and first and next. And so children need to be experiencing that kind of language well before they get to school. For example, a teacher today in a classroom I was in said to the children who were sitting on the floor, "You need to stand up and go to your desks and put everything in your desk drawer and then push your chair in and stand behind it."
Oops.
These were for children aged 5 and 6.
A lot.
It's a lot. And that is typical teacher language. And even if the child is wearing their Roger, their FM system, that doesn't help, because yes, can hear this long sentence, but they've got to think, which thing do I have to do first? How many things do I have to do? And then we always remember the last thing. So it's very, very tricky in school, and people in my role can coach and guide teachers to try to reduce the length of their instructions, but they're very busy. Classrooms have a lot going on. The curriculum demands are large, and they just forget that children's minds can't hold as much information as an adult's can. So think about, somebody has some fantastic ideas of games like Lotto, Fruit 10, and Rumicube. Great games for developing mathematical thinking. Board games, absolutely, and that's where you do the counting, isn't it? You throw the dice and you count 1, 2, 3, and you also take turns and follow the rules. And that beautiful repetitive language, absolutely. I also wondered if people could think about some songs that they sing with children, because songs with finger rhymes are powerful as well. So some of the ones we have in English are open, shut them, give a little clap. And we've got Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star, Incy, Incy, Spider. And yes, Nicole, I can't sing very well, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Once I caught a fish alive. And what about 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0, blast off. So these are songs and rhymes. There's a Peppa Pig song. You might have to sing that for me, because I don't know Peppa Pig very well. How does that song go?
Yelena is from where? Yelena Novikova? Can you tell us where you come from?
It's Nicole. Peppa Pig.
Hello,
Hello.
hear me? Yes.
Yes, we can. Can you sing the song, please?
Peppa Pig. It's cartoon, мультфильм. Свинка Пеппа. Do you know?
I know Peppa Pig, but I don't know the song.
Как эти? Лоб, плечи и коленки. Head, shoulders, here, and
Yes,
что-то такое.
you can sing in your language. Yeah, you can sing.
Елена, скажите, пожалуйста, откуда вы?
Москва.
Oh, we're in Moskva. She is in
Yes,
Yeah, okay.
I'm Russian.
Yeah, thank you very
Oh,
much for joining, active joining. Great, thank you.
yes, please. I would love to hear heads, shoulders,
Вы
knees, and
можете спеть,
Yes,
пожалуйста,
yes.
на
Yes.
русском, пожалуйста.
can you sing it for me, please?
Лоб, плечи и коленки, коленки, лоб, плечи и коленки. Дальше я забыла. 5 лет назад, примерно 5-6, ребенок маленький был, когда вот пели эту песенку. Ей сейчас 9.
Okay, she says, do you want to translate, Nishangul, or should I? Nishangul.
My daughter is 9 years ago.
Yeah. I will translate.
Many time ago, we sung this.
She says she forgot already because it's many years ago that they sang this song together.
I forgot.
Forgot already,
Yes.
and now she's already 9 years old, and therefore it's a long time ago. It's great,
Yeah.
Elena. Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you. Singing is incredibly important, and I'm sure your daughter likes some very different songs now. So maybe pop music.
Может быть, ваша дочь, она тебе любит другую музыку, как поп-музыку.
Yes. Настюха, спой.
Hi.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello. Hello. Молодец.
Hello.
Hello.
Lovely
Она
to see
поет такие песенки популярные, где Сигма-бой.
Like popular songs now.
I think she's too shy to sing us the song, but that's lovely to meet her. And I'm so pleased to hear that you are singing. And that song develops our vocabulary of our body parts, which is very important. And it seems to be an international song. I think pretty much every language has this one. Okay, next slide, please. Just watching our time. And Sue, yes, singing with babies is very natural to do in most cultures, and there is a reason for that. It's true, but Sue, I feel like singing with children in the home is reducing. I think a lot of times now, many people will just put YouTube on and have the YouTube playing the songs, but I really feel like and you would know, there's much more impact and learning and child development if we are singing to and with the child ourselves in real life, not just watching something on an iPad or so on. So very, very important to be singing and dancing. Yes, and we need more music, more singing, more playing instruments, and more moving to music and dancing as well. Very important. So we've talked a lot about language development with play already, but I just wondered if there's anything else you've thought of while we've been talking. We've talked about learning about concepts like body parts and size and time. We've talked about solving problems, and we need language to solve problems. Think about a child in this picture, perhaps. They may be saying something like, I want the big yellow one. Don't take that white one, it's mine. Or I need more blue ones. I want all the green. That's not fair. You need to share. They're not all for you. So there's all of that. And that kind of negotiating can be very helpful in school and actually very helpful in life. You have to wait your turn. And you have to understand that language of, it's my turn now, you're next. And who's before me? And sometimes they have to be able to solve a conflict. And I think it's important for us to remember to teach the children that language of solving conflicts too. Like No, don't touch that. It's mine. That's my teddy. And other language like that, which you maybe, I was just checking chat, you may have some other ideas about some of that rich, functional language that children need to have by the time they get to school. A child I worked with today had a black eye, a 6-year-old, and I asked her, what happened to your eye? And she said, oh, she's got bilateral cochlear implants and she's like a little old lady. Oh dear, that boy Anthony punched me. And I thought, it's terrible that that this happened and that she does have a black eye. But I was also thrilled to hear that she understood my question and that she could explain what happened to her. Because sometimes something will happen to a child and they come to us and they're crying and so on, but they can't explain what happened. It could be in the playground. They fell down, or a swing bumped into them and they're sore. So really think about creating some problems in the play that you do with the children, and have the children role play, talking to each other about sharing, taking turns, and expressing their feelings that way. And Nicole's given us a lovely resource, thank you. Some of the Peppa Pig songs and videos. And yes, now is George the baby brother, I think, who just got a hearing aid. So great awareness for us there of the baby in the pig family getting a hearing aid.
Jane, I have one question. You explained very well what children do at the age of 2 or up to 2, up to 5, etc. Can you explain what have parents to expect in view of the cochlear implant when it was given? There is a difference between the age and the hearing age. Now, would you say that a child that got the cochlear implant at the age of 2 years, well, is 0 when it comes to the hearing age? So is this child, so to say, 2 years younger than a child who does not have a cochlear implant?
That's a really good question. And it's complicated as well, because play can develop without language, but only in a very simple way. So we will still see babies getting surprised with peekaboo and catching and dropping. We'll still see children learning how to take turns, and they can do a lot through observation. They can imitate building blocks and so on. So a lot of it is possible physically and visually, but the difference will be the language that they have to put on top of their play, and to make sense of their play, to develop that learning further. So yes, they can play, but it won't be enriched with a strong vocabulary and a rich language. And at a certain point, at a certain age, there may be a sense of frustration in the children, because in their mind, and they know visually, they know physically how things work and how children do stuff in the playground, but they can't negotiate. They can't explain a way to solve their own problems. They can't easily make friends. And often in a regular school, what happens is a child who hasn't had their hearing aids since they were a baby does get a bit left behind. Children are moving around very fast in a playground, and they may even say to the child with hearing loss, "We're going down to the other playground now." And they all run away. But because of the noise, because the child didn't necessarily understand what the playground word means, and they couldn't hear the full sentence, they just think the other children have run away from them, and they become sad. So it's as the children get older, it does become more frustrating, I would say, for them, because they know that there are things going on around them. They're often an observer in games much more than a participant, because they're frightened that they might not follow the rules correctly, or they might make a mistake. And children want to be right, and they want to fit in all of the time. So that's really important, Monica, and that's why we want the families to be play, read, sing, repeat. That's my mantra.
Yeah, and I think it's nice because Philippa says she always explains this to the parents, the difference of the chronological age and the hearing age. And I think it just what you say confirms the necessity to provide the cochlear implant as early as possible, because the gap is small.
Yes, absolutely. If we can, even if it's only one cochlear implant, maybe they can't afford two, or two is not possible, but one can make such a difference in a child's life.
Yeah.
And hearing aids too, bone conduction aids, hearing aids, it's important. It's sound to the brain, and we need that. And Nicole, now, yes, we have newborn hearing screening spreading around the world, and it gives many more children that opportunity to have their hearing loss identified and close that gap. And Sue, in play, technology may fall off. Yes, their hearing aids may fall off or be difficult to manage, and that is probably the biggest frustration for parents, is how many hundreds of times a day do they have to put the hearing aid back on. But our guidance to them is don't give up, because we know the child will love it and get used to it, and it's all sound to their brain. Next slide, please. I'm enjoying this dialogue. It's really important. Literacy, I think we've covered this a little bit, but I did want to say to you that, and I know this is not a children's book, but you can make even reading a book into a game. You can turn the book upside down, and children from very young ages will be able to tell you, to indicate to you that you've done something wrong. Uh-oh, what's wrong? And the language around that, oh, it's upside down. What should I do? Turn it over, turn it around. Now what? I want to read the book. How do I read the book? You have to open it. Oh, open it. Oh, you should see what's on this page. Oh my gosh, it's so exciting. So you don't have to just go, the cat sat on the hat. Look, the cat sat on the hat. You can make the reading of a book really delicious and lots of fun as well, and really have books around the home that children are allowed to play with. So books that they can't break, and also have children observing you read, because sometimes, of course, we all read, but sometimes we will read our book at night after the child's already gone to bed. Or we might read the book in the bathroom or in the car when the child doesn't see us. So we need to be modeling that we're reading books and we're enjoying books as well.
Jayne, we have a very interesting question. Why don't you respond to the question from Dina Razbekova? She's asking about multilingual families, and what do you recommend, one language, or is it okay to speak in different languages?
That is a good question, and I'm not an expert on families who speak more than one language, but I celebrate it. And I will tell you, in the old days, they used to say to families of children with hearing loss that you should choose one language and speak that. But I have spoken with many people, and everybody seems to have a different philosophy. But really, the most important thing I would say, and I'm welcome for other people to comment on this, is we need to be speaking our heart language with the child. And yes, I lived in Austria and I started to learn German, but there is no way I could have a full, rich conversation with a child in German because my heart language is English. And some families decide to have one language one day and another language the next day and swap it. In some families, the father speaks one language to the child and the mother speaks one language to the child. It's really actually anything goes, and it's what you feel comfortable and happy with, and your child will figure it out. They're very, very clever. And sometimes they'll mix up the languages. They might say part of the sentence in English and part of the sentence in German. And that's okay too. They're starting to figure it all out. And it makes, I believe the children who are exposed to many languages have much more interesting brains. They're more creative and more imaginative because their brain is constantly thinking, oh, when I see this thing, that it's not just a ball, it can be whatever the other word is as well. And I know, yes, please, Monica. Yeah.
According to my experience and talking to many, many families, I mean, we see many families where there are different languages. I think it is important not to mix. In other words, it is preferable if, for example, the father speaks in Turkish and the mother speaks in German, and not mix it up. I think that
especially unless they are truly bilingual, of course, then yes, Frank.
One language, choose one language, yeah.
Yes.
I maybe can make a comment out of my personal life. I'm married with a lovely French lady. Okay, our two kids are not hearing impaired, but we decided on day one that my wife is only speaking French with the children and I only spoke German, which wasn't sometimes a bit funny if you go to because I speak also French. If you go to a French family event and there are 50 people and I speak to everybody in French except to my children, which was sometimes a bit strange, but I can tell you later on, when my son was 8 or 9 years old, he was telling at the dinner table my wife something in French, and he turned around and explained exactly the same story to me in German. And if my son is now 19, if I now talk to my son in French, he's not reacting because he thinks it's not for him, for me. Because if I speak French, it's not for him. So, but those kids are today perfectly bilingual, and you just pick up still a couple of words. We're living in France, they're a little bit less exposed to German, but bottom line, they're bilingual. But we have been extremely consequent. Is this good or bad? I don't know.
Yes.
Kids are happy they're bilingual today.
Yes, and I think you're right, Frank, that many families do that. The mother speaks her heart language and the father speaks his heart language to the children. Yes, and then sometimes the parents speak another language between themselves as well. But we absolutely want to have these children exposed to all of the languages of their family and their loved ones. And then, of course, they're going to have to learn the language that's spoken at school. But this is part of their culture, part of who they are as a little human. And it's really, really important.
Thank you so much, Jayne, for your answer. Yeah.
And there's Dina. There's also some really great comments there from Nicole and Barbara in the chat.
Okay.
Have a look at those too. I also wanted to just remind people to have writing materials, paints and crayons, and lots of different kinds of paper available for children, particularly when they get to that age around maybe between starting from about 3. They really like to write notes and draw pictures and make little books. So we don't need to have expensive toys all of the time. We can just use things around our environment. I'll just quickly go through. Yes, thank you, Frank. Sorry, we're getting a bit late now. I think we've talked about some of these already. Just being mindful that different ages play differently. And we don't need to, for example, have 2 children who are younger than 2 playing a game with rules together, because they are not capable of that yet. They'll be doing their own thing, exploring with their mouth and their finger and their body a lot of the time. Next slide, please. And as they get a bit older, they start to really watch older children playing. And you've seen those children in the playground who are around 2 or 3 years old. They just watch the big kids, fascinated with them. They don't play with them. They just watch and learn. They might ask you questions. What's he doing? Or what's that? And they're starting to really learn that vocabulary around the play and figuring out how it all works. So that observer stage is incredibly important. And again, we should let them be that observer in their own space and at their own pace. Next slide, please. Parallel play starts to develop after they're around 2, and these ages are very approximate. So they sit side by side, or they play side by side another child, possibly, looking at each other, but not necessarily doing the same thing. They may not be sharing, but they're definitely close, and they're aware that the other child is there. So this is an example there. They could be sitting at the same table, but they're playing with different toys. Next slide. And associate play starts when they're 3 or 4. An example is like this playground where the children are all in the playground, and maybe they're just doing different things. One is climbing, one is swinging, one is crawling. So they're starting to interact a little bit more at this age. They may start to take turns. They might start to really imitate the other children as well. If they see a child climb up a ladder that they've never done before, they think, oh, I'll try that, and they have a go as well. So they're doing something related more to the children around them. And again, they may or may not be interacting with them, saying my turn and so on. And we need to accept that will come in their own time. And next slide, please. And then beyond age 4, we're really starting to cooperate with each other. And this is when we can introduce those turn-taking games, like the board games and those memory games where you turn the cards over, and some of those games that you mentioned earlier on. They're really playing with each other. They're discussing what they're doing, and they're negotiating and taking turns, hopefully. And a big one at this age is learning about losing as well as winning. Thanks, Kelly. I'll see you later. So make sure that the child doesn't always win the game. Incredibly important aspect of life. We can't always win, unfortunately. Next slide, please. And this is our last slide, apart from the references. And I'm sorry, I have gone a little bit over time, but I was just wondering if there's anything else anyone would like to share. about how their children play at home, or some fun games that you'd like to tell us about before we leave? Or what your takeaways are from today. I've tried to keep it really practical and not too academic. So what are your thoughts?
Well, maybe we can encourage our participants to think about this and let us know offline, because it's really late, not only for you, but for other people as well. It's during the day, break for lunch and so on. So I would suggest, thank you very much, Jayne, for this interesting presentation and very practical hints, tips for parents. Thank you for the support, Frank. Thank you, Udo, for the support, the technical support for this session. We are on I would say, on a steep learning curve. And so hopefully with every session, we will find it easier to manage the whole process. So we don't know yet who will be our speaker in March, but we will let you know on time, as I said, well ahead of time. And the next presentation will be very similar to today. I think it will be again a Wednesday, and it will be the last Wednesday of the month. So it will be the 25th of March. Concerning the time, we will decide, because it will depend on the speaker. We may shift it a little bit, so we will see. So again, thank you, everybody. Thank you, Jayne. Have a good sleep. Good night. And thank you to the others who participated. Have a nice evening and have a nice day. And hopefully see you in 1 month from now. So bye-bye. Thank you very much. До свидания. Большое спасибо всем участникам und auf Wiedersehen für die, die Deutsch sprechen.